I'm alive and you're alive, if you're listening. In life, what do we do? And how do we do? That's an interesting question to me, how to live and what is truth. And I want to share my view with the background of Zen or Shin Buddhism, also engineering background, scientific, on AI, and maybe some philosophical angle, but hopefully mainly common sense to see if I can characterize how to live. I want to touch on a few basic points. One is the problem-solving process, to think that the life is a process of problem-solving and how to do it. And for that, we use the brain, but listen to our heart and how we do that. And we have experiences, memories, and in our mind and the brain, they are programmed to play with, to solve the problem, so that we live well. Some people talk about truth. We should be seeking for truth. But at the end, I think what I see is to live happily, peacefully, with the attitude of sincerity and truthfulness. So it's a common sense issue. And first I want to talk about the view from the Buddhist. A very fundamental concept of solving problem of life in the religion of Buddhists, but I see it's very scientific, is to go through a process of Sila Samadhi Panna. You practice the right conduct, and as you do, there may be ups and downs, problems. We put ourselves in the state of samadhi, calm and quiet mind, to seek solution to fit to that setting. And with calm, quiet mind, with no mind, no self, which is to connect to the root of who we are, in my view, the compassion may pop up, or wisdom may pop up, or even enlightenment may pop up. But the whole point is to see the problem solving is a process, one after the other. So what I see is like a plan, do, check, act, plan to do something and do it and check it and act upon it to come up with the next plan. So we do that in our brain, but in this case, not just using the brain, but connecting to our heart. And the heart represents the way of nature. As much as all the trees and dogs, they have, I call it heart. They live with the way of nature. There's a program they came with, and they do their best for them to live. And as human, we have the same structure, I see it, except that on top of the structure, as if to eat the fruit of knowledge, we have the brain to add it on, so that we can use not just the nature's way of how we can live, including how we came to this planet and living, breathing, digesting food, all the basic stuff, but we can also use brain, thinking back the history, going forward into the future, how we may find a way, what to do, how to do it, with the vision and the specific steps to move forward so that you can accomplish the vision. And hopefully the vision is the right one, which is not violating the rule of nature, or the law of nature, that there's alignment between the brain's direction and utilizing the resources as if the nutrition, the energy come from the source of who we are, from our heart. So Sila Samadhi Panna is more connected to the connection to this heart, whereas Plan, Do, Check, Act, similar, is more in our brain or mind. So if we use a brain, we may solve the problem, but when it comes to the difficult problem, we get hit. What do? I suggest samadhi is the way to have a calm and quiet mind, connect to the root, so that we develop this wisdom, compassion, whatever, so that the miracle universe that's made us to be alive on earth and living is utilized, connected, and aligned to come up with a solution. So that's the basic structure of the mind or the brain and the heart and the relationship. And depending upon, say, immediate need, doing the work, writing letter, we can use the brain. But when it comes to difficult issue in life, we may connect to the root of who we are. For us to have the laws of nature to bring us the potential that brought us on this earth. And that's the wisdom and compassion, as well as possibly awakening, if it's a major shift of our consciousness to be aligned so that the brain and heart has a connection. So that's one basic structure. And if we have to be specific as to the vision, which way to go, of course everybody has different vision, but that's probably a good way so that we're not just focusing on the immediate need, but also align to the future, which our mind can picture, develop. And with that imagination and the idea that is connected to the laws of nature, we develop this culture and the state of who we are in the society, much advanced, as we call it, than the tree and the dog and the cat. But at the same time, the complexity of the brain may make us to be confused. We may forget what the basic vision of life is, or we may not have it, or we may focus on one program or the habitual pattern we developed in our mind and forget important issues, but focus on the immediate. To the point I shared the idea of the bird in the cage. We are the bird in the cage using the ideas what to do, but if we do all what to do in this cage, which is our mind, because mind cannot access outside of mind reach, then we may be confined. But to go beyond confinement is the wisdom and the compassion to relate to what's beyond our mind capability. And that can only happen when our mind is calm and quiet. And with that state, we realize the confinement we see in this case is actually their holes, their opening, or maybe the cage doesn't exist. If you really look at the whole picture and how the law of nature manifested for us to be alive, it's beyond the mind capability, but we can access that if we open up. And that's the samadhi state, to bring up the wisdom, awakening, find the truth of what's going on. So specifically, what is happening when we do that? And how may we move on in the journey of life with certain vision and at the same time working on the specific things so that we can find the passage to be happy? That's my question. Even if we are blocked, we can find a way. Even if we are unhappy, there may be a way going forward. And not just achieving the short-term goal, immediate goal, but we may be even enlightened and even share those ideas with other people so that the human as a species can expand. So those are the questions, and it's a big and interesting question, but I see a way. For example, if me or you, as an example, a person, to get out of the cage, use the wisdom, enlighten, find a way to live your life well, and be able to share that because of this experience and the learning, and being able to share that possibility. We all have the same structure, construct, mind and body and all that. There may be a difference in terms of the strength and stuff, but still the structure may remain the same. So we may have a way of communicating that's not just awakening of individual or compassion within, but without, with more people. Even all living beings can be happy if we can. It may sound crazy, but that could be the vision. And that could be the vision some of the religious or spiritual leaders may have or may have had. We don't need to think much about it, but it's okay to think that there's a possibility, so that if we, as a little bird in a cage, to find a way to fly and be able to share, more birds, humans, and so forth can expand the possibilities of living life. Not just a spiritual awakening, but materialistically utilizing the resources we've got and using our brain resources in the right way with wisdom. As human, if we can do that, I would see that will be the possibility. And I'm fairly certain that AI may help doing it. We may not go into it too much. But that's the picture. And what I want to say is that specific example of how we may do that. I just picture in my case. And let's see if I can explain. I see me having a vision of how I live my life, not to be happy with myself, but be able to share and expand that with others. That's my vision, which is something coherent, similar to what I was talking about. But being human, I have hurdles, problems to solve. So let me go through an example. For example, I wake up in the morning and I have this and that problem and report the right mail to send. But I have other things in the next 3-4 days because I'm traveling to California, so what to do? But this flow of events, and further down, coming up is my death, maybe in the next whatever years. I'm 76, so I may have some vision of what I want to accomplish while I live. So there's a specific short-term and a long-term idea, and how to balance out, prioritize, and find a passage to move forward. So that's a specific, you may call it the project management kind of idea, how to navigate my life. Given everything is impermanent, but still adjusting, like a plan, do, check, act is one way of adjusting with the mind, specific things, but also relating to the Sila Samadhi Panna at the deeper level, so that we don't misuse the brain but also appreciate the potential, the laws of nature manifesting through me to bring out wisdom, compassion, enlightenment, whatever that is. So those are the variables. And when I wake up, what do I do? If I jump into this specific issue, other issues get blurred. The prioritization, I may have had it the night before or whatever, is blurred because we get into this specifics. And like a strategy, it's important to focus on bigger vision, bigger project strategy, and align to that is a specific action. It's kind of like management, managing myself, utilizing the whole resources I have. So instead of grabbing this, what to do, short term, I may say, for example, meditate for whatever time, say 20 minutes, just in samadhi. So mind is clear, calm, and I have the base attached or connected. And there's a sense of clarity and happiness and peace, blissful sensation even. Let's say I have that. With that state, since I'm connected to the root, I might connect very well to the vision. This is what I really want to do, and may help if I can utilize the energy and feel right about doing it. So that's, you may call it the wisdom of defining how I live, instead of smaller pieces that I get tangled up and get lost what's the major issue. So that's number one. And when I do that, let's go through the scenario. I may develop some vision, which is like an image. And the image is not with specific logic and word, but specific logic and word can be integrated in the image. So what happened in the state when I have the vision is that all the background of information, memories, and logic I use, which is stored inside of me, not at the shallow part of the brain, but the deeper, everywhere I can access. And since my samadhi would open up the barrier, the cage, I may access those, and to assure the vision is still valid, and in the image, I re-emphasize that, reaffirm that. So that when I do that, I picture that image is in my right brain, because it's an image, and the logic and the memory and the words, whatever specific thing, to support that image that came from the deeper part of who I am, possibly, it's on the left brain. But just imagining the vision, be able to imagine, is to confirm that structure, in my case, about the vision and approach and the using the basis for that, is made clarified. So when I do that first time, in meditating process or samadhi process, whatever the way you get there, maybe you're just laying in the bed and you just confirm that. But with the samadhi process, if that can be done, that's one thing I can confirm, because everything changes and the road changes, the passage changes, hurdles change, and every now and then, just like you are on the ship to move forward point A to the X, the island, you monitor what you should be and check where you are in relation to the surroundings and the ability and whatever happened in the past of exercising the idea to live and reflect on the learning and move on to the next step of the next leg of the journey. So that's the morning exercise. And confirming that, I can see the projects, what to do, how to do, and move on. It's not in written or any form, but just assuring, and the energy and alignment is confirmed. Once we have that, I think that's the major thing. Each step of the day, hour to hour, whatever, I may change the course, but the general course of what I'm to do is defined. So that at the end of the day, I may have another setting. Okay, day has passed. Don't carry the weight, the luggage from today to tomorrow. So I go through samadhi or meditation again. And then in that process, what I see happening is that there's a reconstruction of the priorities and the connection of the image and the specific logic and the database memories to go with it. That is added on with the experience we had that day, or I had that day. With clarity, I go to sleep. When I'm sleeping, mind is calm, or sometimes have a dream. But what I see is happening when I'm sleeping is that not like meditation. Meditation is mind is awake but calm. When I'm sleeping, mind is not awake as much, but sleep, but still neurons, stuff in my mind, brain, and connection to the heart. How I perceived early in the morning may be readjusting without me not so aware of that process. So the next morning comes, and like I said, I go through the same process to revisit where I am, what to do, what priority. So, of course, this vision has to be fairly important and clear, but let's leave it with that. But to say that that's the dynamic process of how I live my life, and that may suit. If we have certain procedure like that, then we have like a climbing up the mountain and going through the sailing trip and making the tack and moving forward, adjusting the course as the environment changes and your skill changes. We can still continue this path, live our best. I see AI is doing something similar. Backward propagation is the way to go deeper and come up. And as they come up with the idea, the approach gets more narrow and come up with a solution, and then go on to the next project or something like that. Just for your thought. I hope I keep practicing, and I like to keep updating how this process is working.